Yo, what is up guys? It is Bumfries, back with another episode of our Reddit series. This one is going to be a little bit more entitled parents, and I know you're going to love this one. I feel like it's been ages since we've done an episode of Entitled Parents, so I'm going to make sure this is a really good one with some really good stories for you guys. If you enjoy, don't forget to smash the like button, and if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, then sit back, relax, and get annoyed at some entitled parents. So I was on a train going to London for a holiday, and I was in a very crammed carriage. The entitled mum and her kid get on and sit across from me. The kid pulls out a Nintendo Switch and starts playing. Nothing out of the ordinary at the time, as it was a long journey and many people had laptops and the sort. The issue started when her kid slowly started turning up the game. Now it was Pokemon, so the noises were squeaky and annoying. He keeps turning it up slightly more and more. The entitled mum is looking at people with a sort of angry look. She looks at me and I look at her confused, and she nods in the direction of her kid. I just nod back and continue looking out the window. The entitled mum starts fake coughing and clearing her throat whenever someone looked at her and nodded towards her kid. So here I am, sat here really confused about the entitled mum's intentions when the kid turns the switch up to full and starts blaring Pokemon. Everyone turns around to look at him and the entitled mum looks happy. Then the ticket dude comes over and politely asks the kid to turn it down. The kid agrees, turns it down, and continues playing. The entitled mum looks furious but doesn't say anything. 5 peaceful minutes go on until the entitled kid leans over and asks me if I want to play Mario Kart with him. I politely decline and the kid doesn't make a fuss. However, the entitled mum glares at me and says, "Excuse me?" And I just respond with, "Pardon?" And she says, "Why won't you play with my son?" I respond with, "I'm sorry, I just don't want to and I'm getting off soon." The entitled mum annoyed says, "Well, you should. My son has done well in school and I have brought him that Nintendo as a reward. He should get all the attention that he deserves." I just laugh and continue to stare out the window. The entitled mum gets up, yanks one of the controllers from her kid and practically throws it at me. I say to her, "Excuse me? What the hell are you doing?" And she says, "The Nintendo was very expensive and you should acknowledge that and play with him as he deserves it." I hand the controller back to the kid and just say, "I don't care. I don't want to play with your son. Leave me alone." The entitled mum started fake laughing really loud and says, "Haha, you're just jealous and poor." Then she says, "Who else will play with my son?" looking around the train at random people who all just avoid eye contact. She then says to everyone on the train, "Haha, you're all just poor and can't afford it. That's it. None of you care about your children enough." She looks triumphant and sits back down. She started saying stuff like, "Ooh, what game is that? It looks very fun and cool." And then describing features of the Switch very loud and keeps mentioning how expensive it is and how parents like her can afford it. Then, this absolute legend of a guy sat across from the entitled kid and the entitled mum, reaches into his bag and pulls out a Switch, which was a weird special edition one. The guy says, "Wow, your son's Switch is very cool, but mine is more expensive and better." He was obviously joking, but the entitled mum didn't get it, and he says, "Seems as though you can't afford mine and you aren't a good parent." The entitled mum was gobsmacked, but the kid just looked really excited and asked the entitled mum if he can play with the guy. The entitled mum stutters, "No, you can't. We're getting off now." Then the entitled mum and her kid get up and move to the next carriage. The guy looked very happy with himself and just puts the Switch away. Thankfully, the rest of the journey was fine. Damn, this woman is just... I mean, I don't even know if she's entitled. She's just, sounds batshit insane. I don't even know how else you can put this lady. I mean, a logical person would think that what defines being a good parent is actually doing things to help support your kids' growth and setting them up for the future, not buying them a Nintendo Switch. I don't know, maybe my idea of parenting is completely skewed, but this lady, to me, has absolutely no idea what she's talking about. And even more so, the fact that she probably does fall into the entitled parent category is even worse, and I just feel so sorry for this kid from the outset. So back in high school, one of my closest friends got pregnant and gave birth to the sweetest baby boy. She stopped going to school for a while to take care of her kid, but still did online school so she could graduate with her class. One thing we would do is go to one of the local food places near the high school on Fridays, and today we decided to go to this nice Chinese place that I frequent regularly, and this little old Asian lady knows me by name. This Chinese place has a sticker on the front door that says something along the lines of, "Breastfeeding will always be allowed," which is great since that's what my friend is comfortable doing for her baby. After we ordered our food and hang out in this little waiting area, the baby starts to get all fussy. She takes out the little cover and covers her baby and her chest and starts to feed him. We keep talking until this woman and her son, who had to be around 10, comes in. I recognize this kid as one of the kids I looked after when I used to volunteer at a youth center. He comes up to me and starts talking to me and then asks my friend what she's doing with her baby. Before my friend could even answer, the boy's mother cuts in saying, "A disgusting thing is what she's doing. Don't you know better than to do that in public? And why are you even doing that if you're only a kid?" My friend has an attitude sometimes, so I try to jump in before she would start to throw things and say, "It's not illegal and Mrs. L is fine with it. She has a sticker on the door saying so." Mrs. L, of course, was the little old Asian lady by the counter who was just oogling the baby a second ago. She smiles at us and continues to write some stuff down. The mother wasn't happy about this and continues with her BS. In frustration, she says, "I'm sorry, but I'm just not okay with a baby breastfeeding another baby. Can you please just stop?" Mrs. L finally cuts in and in her broken English says, "Nursing baby is a beautiful thing. You have problem, you leave." She then taps the order on the window that leads to the kitchen and apologizes to my friend for the woman's nasty behavior. She then looks at the boy who is sitting right next to me and says jokingly, "Your mother? She dummy, right?" This makes the boy laugh, and the mother just grumbled in her seat, trying to stay as far away from us as she could. When my friend finished and we grabbed our food, Mrs. L threw in an extra order of egg rolls since they were my friend's favorite. Everything was fine until Monday came and I saw the boy again. He pulls me off to the side and tells me that his mum said she doesn't like me or my friends. I just asked him if he still likes me and he says yes. I mean, look, this is something that will divide opinions until the end of time. Honestly, no one's ever going to win an argument when it comes to this because everyone has their own opinion on it and that's what it is, right? But the thing is, there was a damn sign at the door saying that the place was breastfeeding friendly. If you have a problem with people breastfeeding in public, well, don't walk into a place that literally gives you a warning that there may be people breastfeeding in there. I don't know, man, some of these entitled parents just get to me. Like, how do you honestly grow up to be that stupid and just have absolutely no spatial awareness or self-awareness at all? I guess these entitled parents just literally never learn. So, I was a volunteer youth group leader and we were driving from New England to Florida. One of my campers was a small girl. She was 10 years old and was about to start HG hormone treatment before the trip. Her mum was an attorney and she was very rough to deal with regarding anything. The first thing the entitled mum says to me is, "Megan is starting her hormone treatment while you are en route tomorrow. You need to bring a cooler with HGH shots in them and administer them to her 3 times a day. So yes, you will need a cooler with you for Disney World. She will be tired and have joint pain, so she might need a wheelchair." I tell her that I'm sorry, but this sounds way above my expertise to handle. I have absolutely no medical training, and if anything goes wrong in administering the shots, I don't feel comfortable being liable. Also, Disney in summer is brutal. I can't imagine carrying around a cooler all day and having it stay cool, not to mention where I will store it for the rides and whatnot. She snaps back at me and says, "So you're not willing to accommodate my child's special needs?" And I say, "Yeah. Can she just begin the treatment in 10 days when we return? I mean, she's only going to be away for a week and some." The entitled mum then says, "So what you're telling me is that you don't care that Megan has an inactive pituitary gland and you won't help her to be taller? You don't care about my child? If she turns out to look like a dwarf, it's your fault." I tell her that I do care that I accidentally don't give Megan a disease from a shot by a volunteer who knows nothing about health practices, and that I ruin a very expensive batch of HGH that I'm sure you'll make me reimburse you for if they go bad because I can't keep them cold. You can talk to the head of the regional youth group now, and here's her number. You can tell her I need to be fired from my volunteer position if you like, but there's no one to take over at this late hour. Not having to drive to Florida tomorrow will be a blessing. I hope your daughter will understand why the trip was cancelled." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how she waited another 10 days to start the shots protocol. She never did get taller, maybe by an inch, but she's okay. Turns out she was genetically a little person the whole time, but her mother was in denial. You know, I'm starting to see a trend in today's episode, like in most episodes, where every single one of the entitled parents is just a really, really, really bad parent. I mean, look, I understand the point where some people have biases towards different people or different genetic disorders or whatever it was in this case, right? But not to say that that's a socially acceptable behavior or anything by any means, but especially when it's your very own daughter, you would think you would have just a little bit of compassion and be willing to actually accept the fact that perhaps she just needs a little bit of extra support. I mean, look, in this case, probably not. As far as I know, it's not something that requires any extra level of support, but I mean, flat out denying that something wasn't quite right there and then trying to put your daughter onto HGH and then also trying to push that onto somebody else is just a little bit too far. I don't know, man. At this point, I just feel like entitled parents will not stop at anything to make the lives of those around them absolute hell. Okay, so here's some context. I live next door to an elderly couple who are two really sweet people. The husband, let's call him BE for blind elder, is a blind old man of about 70. His wife, who we'll call SG for sweet granny, was sick one day, so I offered to take BE to the store to get some stuff. Entitled Dad is obviously ED. I help him into his car after saying goodbye to SG, and I drive him to the store. BE always tells jokes about his condition, laughing as though he couldn't care less about the fact that he can't see. When we get to the store, I help him out of his car and inside, allowing him to put a hand on my shoulder so I can be his eyes. We manage to buy what we need and get to the lunch meat since they needed some. Each meat I grab as a sample, I hand to BE, letting him feel to see if it's the perfect size. While he's feeling the salami, I heard someone clear his throat in a rude way. I turned around and find myself face to face with Entitled Dad. Entitled Dad is an average looking middle-aged man with barely any hair on his head. His kids are two twin boys who are aged around 7. The Entitled Dad starts asking us to hurry up and asks why BE is touching the meat that way. I quickly explain that my neighbor is blind, causing the dad to shake his head and say something about him and his kids being in a hurry. BE eventually turns around and hands me the meat that he'd been feeling. Then the dad gets impatient and says, he's probably faking it. He seems way too confident. BE just let out a laugh and had the look of, I'm gonna scare him, and then to my amusement, BE took off his sunglasses to show his eyes. This causes the dad to back up as my neighbor stumbles towards him with his hands outstretched, yelling about how someone turned off the lights and how the world has been thrown into eternal darkness. The dad and his kid run away like scared dogs, causing my neighbor to laugh so loud that he has tears in his eyes. He put his sunglasses back on and we continue shopping. When we got back to the house, BE started telling his wife what had happened and how he made a big tough dad pee his pants in fear. Can someone tell me, just a single person, I don't care who it is, but one person please tell me what benefit anyone would ever have of being blind when it comes to being in a supermarket and filling up some presumably packaged salami? Like, how stupid do you have to be to think that somebody is actually going to pretend to be blind just so they can feel up a little bit of salami? Like, please tell me this guy was kidding. Honestly, this episode should just be retitled to Stupid Ignorant Parents or something, because I don't even know how dumb you can get, but these parents have really just completely topped my expectations. Alright everyone, that is that for today's episode of Entitled Parents. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm just going to take a second to plug a couple of my social medias, including our Discord server. I do have a Twitter and an Instagram if you want to follow me on both of those. They are both at Bumfries, and feel free to send me a message and I'll do my best to respond. I also just want to take a second to say thank you so much for all the love lately, all of the comments, the likes, the subscribers, just the fact that you guys tune in and watch my videos every day. It really does make my day. Every single one of you is the backbone of this channel and I really cannot express how much I appreciate that. Without you guys, this channel would be nothing, and I love making these videos for you guys and I love the fact that you enjoy them. So on that note, I will wrap things up for today's episode of Entitled Parents. I just want to take a second again to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Entitled Parents. Bye.